Hi, my name is Becky Jennings, and this is the Responsible Parenting Podcast. I give you the transformational tools to stop reacting to your children in the moment and start responding with intention.
Do you find yourself locked in a daily power struggle with your child? Do you fall back into old patterns like yelling or threatening just to stop the annoying behavior? Are you desperate to learn how to connect with your kids, set boundaries, heck, gain some cooperation? If this is you, you need to check out my community. Inside my community, you'll have access to my signature Strong-Willed Language course, where you learn how to regulate yourself, understand and speak your strong-willed kids' language to virtually eliminate the constant power struggles. You'll have access to my workshop library, giving you step-by-step strategies for sibling rivalry, listening, anger and aggression, emotional regulation, and more. You'll have weekly Q&A opportunities to get personalized answers on challenging situations. You'll get specific strategies for you based on exactly what's going on in your home. No umbrella strategy, no umbrella script, no bots. You'll get a personalized roadmap to support you. Plus, you'll get dozens of bite-sized lessons to regroup, stay on track, and stay motivated. It is time to stop walking on eggshells around your children and finally experience the relief you are looking for. Join the community today, and let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Responsible Parenting. I'm your host, Becky Jennings. I'm so excited to be back here talking to you during the holiday season. We are knee deep into the Thanksgiving week if you're in the United States. And it is one of those times where you have all these beautiful images of all the coziness and joy and festivities and all of this stuff. And sometimes those expectations are not met. A lot of the time, those expectations are not met. And it can feel a little claustrophobic, right? The sun is going down at 3:34 p.m. So everyone's inside, it's colder, and we're just kind of on top of each other. It's a little claustrophobic, it's a little stressful. There's competing needs, there's competing wants, there's all sorts of stuff going on, and it can just feel like the energy is tense. The air is a little bit spicy. And if you have a strong-willed kid, this can be extra challenging during the holiday season. And here is what I have some ideas, and I want to share some things on how to kind of stay grounded and support ourselves during this process. Because if you have a strong-willed kid, you've probably recognized and seen that the gentle strategies that work for more of those neurotypical children, they kind of fall flat on our neurodivergent, our strong-willed, our deeply feeling, whatever you would like to call them. It kind of falls flat on them, or it takes it to the other extreme. It just ignites their spice in a way that seems to just take over the whole house, which can lead to disappointment, which can lead to frustration, which can send us back down this trail of falling into our default patterns and trying to regain control of the situation. And we can start to feel as if we need to crack down harder on these kids. We need to get them in line in order for them to comply. We can start to secretly second guess whether or not these gentle strategies are in fact damaging our kids or making the situation even worse, or we're really actually setting them up for failure in the real world, because you can't talk to your boss like that. You can't act like that in public. We start to think, is my kid really an entitled brat? Is my kid really getting away with everything and running the show? And these thoughts can swirl in our heads and can force us down this really punitive path where we're threatening, we're bribing, we're revoking things, we're casting out punishments left and right, we're throwing our kids into timeout, we're doing all these things just to regain a sense of control over the moment. Now, I want to share something because I'm a very, very strong-willed person. I always have been. When I was 18 months old, my parents were camping with my grandfather, and he told his daughter, my mom, that she needed to break my spirit. She needed to actively break my spirit in order to get me to comply, in order to have an easier life as a parent. And this has kind of been the accepted thought process, the accepted course of action that has been passed down through generations. If you have a strong-willed kid, that is not acceptable. That's just not acceptable. They can't act like that. It's rude, it's defiant, it's disrespectful, all of these things, right? And while I want to honor that those it can feel like a personal attack. What I also want to do during this holiday season is give you some practical mindset shifts and actionable strategies to help you in the chaos. Number one, strong willed children, it's not going to change. No amount of punishment, no amount of belittling, no amount of yelling, threatening, bribing, no amount of coercion is going to change the will of your child. I know this because I am a very strong willed person, and no amount of containing me as a child changed my strong will. And I can see with my own strong willed child that there's nothing that I can do that takes that strong will away. And so we need to remember, as parents of these strong willed children, that this is not a phase. This is not just a blip. This is not a developmental thing that they'll grow out of. This is who they are. And when we add on the shame that this isn't right, that they are being bad, that they're defiant, that they're challenging. These kids hear no way more often than the more neurotypical children. And so when we're piling all of this on them, it doesn't change the strong will at all. It just creates a layer of shame. It creates this layer of self confusion. It creates this picture of self that is like distorted, inaccurate, and it's really sad. I know this because my view of myself was so bad. I saw myself as the black sheep in the family. Even though I was president of everything, queen of the town, I was a straight A student, I was on the student council, I was literally the picture perfect on paper, everything that you would want, but I had a very strong will. And that butted up against my parents on a regular basis. And the language that you're sharp, you're quick, you're too much flooded my head. And by the way, they had the best intentions. They had broken cycles of abuse. They never laid a hand on us. But it's also very hard when you're breaking huge, enormous emotional or physical cycles to not have these corrective sentences or these corrective tactics kind of come out in a negative and harsh way, which shapes the way our children start to view themselves. So I first want to say that one, the mindset shift is this is who your child is. There's no changing that. No matter what we do, no matter the tactic, this is who they are. So we have to say, instead of constantly resisting the person in front of me, instead of constantly trying to adjust the behavior, constantly trying to fix it so it fits more comfortably for me, how can I support? How can I scaffold? How can I create systems that embrace what will never change? And how can I be at peace with this? How can I internally help myself feel okay, feel better in these really tense, challenging moments? Because nothing of what I say or do is going to change my child in front of me. And the second mindset shift I want to talk about is control. Now, we've heard this a million times. The only person you can control is yourself. And we know this. We know this, but we don't act like this as parents. We still try to impart our control onto our child's behavior, onto our child's personality, especially if they are strong willed and they are more defiant, they are more outspoken, and it rubs us the wrong way. We try to assert our control more often than not. And the hardest thing to do is to realize that we can only control ourselves. And the hardest person to control is ourselves. So if you're sitting here in this moment and you're like, oh my gosh, I've done everything wrong, please know you have not. You have not done anything wrong. You are not a bad parent. This is hard. This is hard, hard work. Not only are our children, especially our strong willed children, pointing out the cracks in our armor, pushing on all the triggers and all the wounds that are unhealed. And they are just giving us so many opportunities, so many opportunities to practice self control. So if you're in the thick of this right now, just know you are not doing anything wrong. You are actively in the process of healing. You are actively in the process of learning, and you are being stretched in your capacity of what you can tolerate, what you can hold. And these new strategies are clunky and it takes a while to integrate. I am still integrating these on a daily basis. I am still triggered beyond measure on a daily basis. It takes time, it takes practice, and it takes a decent amount of accountability and support. Now, the third mindset shift that I really want to have you kind of hold on to in this holiday season is 90 seconds. 90 seconds. When you are triggered and a feeling pops up in your body, rage, resentment, frustration, anger, any sadness, disappointment, any of those things, remind yourself, a feeling processes in my body within 90 seconds. Any longer than 90 seconds is because I have attached a storyline to it. I've attached something deeper to it, which then I need to write down and explore. So say you have a situation where your child is asking you a million questions and you're in the middle of your to-do list and they won't stop asking, and you've tried your gentle strategies of like, oh, mommy's almost finished. Hold on to that thought. I'll be with you in a moment. You've tried, and then you end up feeling this desire to explode. Number one, that feeling might be anger on the outset. So you have this feeling of anger. If you can truly slow down, stop yourself, don't speak, and for 90 seconds, allow that feeling to process. And if it doesn't process in 90 seconds, write down the situation. Just put it in your notepad, on your phone, walk into another room, scream into a pillow, run your hands under cold water, press up against a wall, do some jumping jacks, go outside, put your feet in the dirt, throw on some music and let it rip and just dance. Do something different to shake out what's going on in your body versus letting it fly out of your mouth. And then write that down. So you're angry that you were being interrupted. You're angry that your child didn't follow or didn't comply with the boundary. You're angry at whatever. Now let's go a step further. What are 3 other words that are more accurate? And this is what you're doing this outside of the moment, right? You're doing this after the moment has passed. You're not trying to figure this out in the heat of the moment because your emotions are going to be too high. So afterwards, let's try to find 3 other words that are more accurate. Are you resentful? Are you feeling like everything's on you? Are you feeling overwhelmed, right? What is more accurate? And then what would you need in the moment in order to feel better? I think when we can kind of take the emotional energy out of these moments and just say, what would I actually need in this moment to feel better? We can then either ask somebody, hey, would you be willing to do this? Make that request. Or if nobody's around and able, how can I meet that need for myself? Okay, so we have 3 different mindset shifts for us to really hold on to in the holidays. Number 1, that strong will in your child, it's not a phase. It's not going away. That's who they are. Number 2, we can truly only control ourselves. And that is actually the hardest thing. The hardest thing to control is ourselves, are the runaway feelings, are the runaway emotions. And number 3, take those 90 seconds. And if that feeling cannot process in 90 seconds, write it down and go explore it further, because those feelings are going to show us what the unmet need is in all of our behavior. Every single behavior is a result of an unmet need. So now I want to get into some really effective strategies that can help during this really chaotic time when we're all on top of each other and when, tensions are running high, expectations are not being met. Your child is going to have very different expectations of their holiday break than you. right? You probably have a vision of what Thanksgiving looks like. You probably have a vision of what the days look like, maybe sleeping in, maybe having more time together, whatever it is. That's probably not going to be what your child's expectations are. So I have 3 things to focus on with your child. Number 1, let's try to keep a schedule and a routine as much as possible. Maybe you spend a little bit of time before the holiday break writing down what the days are going to look like. Especially our strong willed kids, they thrive on knowing what's going to happen next. It can kind of send them into a panic if they don't know, like, wait, you said we were going to go to ice cream. You said we were going to be able to watch that movie in the theater. You said. And if we're like, yeah, we can do that tomorrow, for them, that's not how it's going to work. And you're going to have a meltdown, and there's going to be a power struggle, and there's going to be defiance and resistance and all those things. So be proactive in this. Let's set aside some time and go over all of the wish list, right? So this is kind of a 1-2 combo. Number 1, let's get that visual schedule going. Let's get everything mapped out. I know there's going to be more screen time. I know there's probably going to be more sweets. I know there's probably going to be, different meal times than normal. Like, you're probably not going to be eating Thanksgiving at 7 p.m. You might be eating it at 4. So like, let's set ourselves up for success and let our children know that the calendar is going to be different. But let's set these visual blocks of time out for them so they can know what to expect. When people know what to expect, it can really take the anxiety, the anticipation, those kind of like that twitchy energy out of the scenario. So let's be really proactive and let's say, this is what it's going to look like tomorrow. If your kid isn't able to handle a full week at a glance, this is what tomorrow is going to look like. Number 2, get all of their priorities and all of their wants, all of their desires, their huge vision for their holiday break. Get that down on paper. And you together can put everything that they want to have happen within reason, everything they want to have happen on that visual guide. This is huge for these children because it gives them such a say in what their break looks like. And you get to understand, and again, not have these misaligned expectations. They were so looking forward to seeing this movie that was coming out on Friday. It's now Tuesday. Now I understand the meltdown because they had told me that they really want to see this movie. Now together, you can pick the movie time. You can set it on the calendar. You can buy the tickets. You can get excited together. So number 1, have that visual guide with the blocks of time of what to expect, and then make sure that it includes a bulk of their priorities for this holiday vacation. And then the third is, if you can do this, prioritize the power swap, the power switch, as like I like to call it, that Freaky Friday moment where you guys swap places and the child becomes the parent and the parent becomes the child. How we do it in our house is my son and I kind of like run at each other. We kind of bump into each other and I'm immediately a robot and you are in control, right? And he thinks it's the funniest thing, right? And then he tells me what to do for 10 minutes. It's the most connected, silly strategy that helps our children play with control, feel empowered, kind of be able to play with what it looks like to be the one in charge. And that is so important because when we relinquish control, when we're not barking orders and telling them what to do and kind of just like running the whole entire show, we experience less power struggles, less resistance, more cooperation, more kindness throughout the day because they've gotten this out of their system. They've been able to really, just kind of like purge that desire. And it's done in a fun, playful, energetic way that is super safe, right? They're not being able to tell us to like do dangerous things. One caveat I always say is when we power switch, just so you know, as your mother, I would never do anything to put you in harm's way. I would never do anything unsafe. And those are the expectations and rules when you become in control. And they never do anything that's crazy. It's like, draw this picture for me or stack the books up high or, make my bed. It's these silly things, but they're basically kind of barking the same orders that a parent would, right? And the fourth bonus strategy is build in pockets of time where there's movement, where there's play, whether it's at the top of the hour, every hour, you guys throw on a new song and you create the silliest dance moves you can. Or, you each take turns shouting out an animal and the person has to be that animal for like 30 seconds. Whatever you do, build in these high energy pockets of time where you just get to get all these wiggles out. That's going to also help a tremendous amount with the resistance, with the misaligned expectations, feeling like nobody's listening to each other. And it really sets you up for an incredibly fun, connected holiday break. I also want to note that my community is still open. So you still have time until December 6th. The doors close again on December 6th. So please make sure that if you're looking for consistent accountability, you're looking for daily support from me. I'm not a bot inside of my community. You send me a message, I will actually get back to you with my real-time support and advice. You can come to a weekly Q&A where you're like, this is what's plaguing me. This is the most frustrating situation. This is a pattern I can't seem to break. And you and I will workshop it together. We'll connect the dots and we'll give you an effective strategy for you, not an umbrella strategy, not an umbrella script. We're actually going to fine tune it so that it fits your family's needs. It fits both your child and you. It matches what's going on for you guys, because there's a lot of strategies out there that don't work for these strong-willed kids. They often backfire with these strong-willed kids. So let's avoid that. Let's get you systems and strategies that actually work for you. On top of that, you have access to my workshop library, and every workshop that comes out after that, you have direct access to and immediate access to. There's dozens and dozens of bite-sized lessons in there that keep you grounded, refocus your attention, shift your mindset, just put you back into that grounded path. And of course, there's so many wonderful women in there right now on the same journey that they might ask a question. You're like, oh my gosh, I had totally forgotten about that. Yes, I needed that answer too. So please jump in. The link is in the show notes. Join the community. It is not your typical membership platform. It's not your typical place. It is where I pour all of my high-level teachings. My heart and soul is in this community, and you will get direct access to me on a regular basis. So I really would love to see you in there, to have you join so we can connect even further and I can support you even more towards your parenting goals. So you can use the promo code Black Friday and you'll get 40% off your first month. This is a huge offer. So please don't sit on it. Don't wait. I'm not sure when the doors are going to open again. So if you are just ready to learn some strategies that are effective, that actually work, join the community. Don't wait. This is your time to really dial it in and finally feel some relief. Finally stop walking on eggshells with your kids and just move the needle forward in your parenting journey. All right, guys, happy holidays, and I will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Response Able Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method Branding and Podcasting.